Hey guys, so today's video is my entry for the NYX Face Awards for 2018. What I'll be showing you is how to get this look from that look. And the first step is going to be to map it out. This is one of my favorite steps because I find it to be the most helpful in showing me where to place the paint later. I'm just using a NYX eyeliner pencil to map this out, but you could use a lip liner, anything that's light enough to map it out where it won't be shown through the actual paint afterwards. So that's what I'm doing here, mapping out all the bones, all the skull, everything that needs to be mapped out. I'm doing it first, and then I'll fill everything in with the body paint, which I'll show you next. So here I'm using the first paint. This is a body paint. This is a water activated paint, and I'm just filling in all the bones. There actually aren't that many products used in this video. A lot of it is really the attention to detail. First, I'm going to be filling in all of the bones with this silver shade. Then I'm going to do the shirt and then continue on with the detail. So that's what you'll see in the video. I actually changed the background in just a few so you can see the detail a little bit better. So hold tight. But this again is me just putting in a silver body paint, and now I'm putting in the shirt. Now I mixed a green and a blue for this because I want it to have that beautiful ombre effect. And I love how this came out. Again, these are water activated paints and I absolutely love them. So I'm just using some paint brushes to fill that in. Now I'm going up the black just to fill in all that negative space. Again, when I change the background, you'll be able to see how the skeleton really blends into it, really giving you that illusion that the skeleton is really popping out, that the dress is really hanging off of the bones, and you'll see that soon. So again, all I've used so far is a silver paint, a blue and green paint, and a black. How cool does that look? And we're just beginning. So this step is optional, but I decided to glue down my eyebrows just using a glue stick ahead of time and letting it dry. That way the paint goes over it better, but again, that is totally optional. So first here, we are focusing on the teeth. Now again, I have already drawn this out, so I have an idea of where I want the teeth to go. So just create little tiny teeth, little triangles. It does not have to be perfect because we're going to be doing a lot to it later. This is just giving a base of where I want the actual teeth to go. This doesn't have to be perfect because, well, of course, we're going to be painting over it, giving it dimension. And also you'll see here, I am again mapping out my eyes. Most of this look is really placing the shades, highlighting, and shading. That's it. So filling in all of the silver areas just like you did with the rest of the body. This is sped up because it is a long process. I think this paint probably took me 4 or 5 hours at least. But I wanted it to be perfect, and that's why it took so long. Here comes the tedious part. You can see me looking down because I'm looking at my reference picture that I drew. I'm starting to map out the actual indentation of where the skull is really giving off that shade. I want to look as though the bones are hanging over and really making underneath it really dark, just like the natural light would do. It's amazing when you add a black background to a look like this because you completely blend in, and it really helps with that illusion. So now I'm just filling in all the spaces. I'm doing the black in the eyes, black where there is empty space, and then we're going to go in and do some shading. Again, I did glue down my eyebrows earlier just so that the paint would go over them better, but that is totally optional. I did keep the eyes pretty simple because I wanted the focus to be more on the mouth and the face in general, and the body than the actual eyes. So you'll see me add a little bit of shadow to them afterwards, but again, I'm just covering them with black body paint right now. Next, we're going to go ahead in and start shading some more. I'm outlining the teeth with a black paint. Again, these are all water activated paint, so all I'm doing is spraying a little bit of water on them, and then they get a creamy consistency, and it makes it really easy to use, especially with these little detail brushes. Again, this does not have to be perfect because you're going to be doing so much shading and so much highlighting around it that this is really just to give an outline. Next comes the fun part, for me at least. This is my favorite part where it really starts to give it dimension. Again, I want that skull and that cheekbone to look as though it's hanging over the mouth pieces. Here I'm actually going in and shading so that the gums look like they're indented. I really want it to be as realistic as possible. If a skeleton is realistic, I don't know, but you get the point. Shading is so important, and really that's 90% of this look. So as you can see, I just keep adding more and more shadow. I'm just using a black eyeshadow. You can use any matte black shadow that you have. I would not recommend using something that has shimmer in it. You can, but I really wanted the shadows to look realistic, and shadows wouldn't naturally have a shimmer in it. So I just keep adding more and more dimension around the areas that are going to be the deepest. You'll see I'm deepening up that color a little bit more. and just keep adding as much detail as you want. I'm going to go ahead and let you watch me just shade, and you can really see the difference between the two sides in a second. This side I focused on more, whereas the side on the right, you'll see the difference. It's everything, you guys. Shading is so important, and I hope that you learned from this video how important it is. So I wanted you to see that I spent quite a bit of time on this side right here, and that side I haven't gotten to yet, and you can see the huge difference that it makes. So now we're going to make this side look just like the other side. Again, I don't want them to be too symmetrical because the skeletons wouldn't be that symmetrical, but we want to make sure it looks very shaded. So now I'm just adding even more dimension, giving it some highlights as well in just a moment, but really just taking that black eyeshadow and mapping out some more crevices in the skull. You'll see I just continue this process, making it look more indented. I really want it to look very hollowed out, and just keep on using that eyeshadow brush and eyeshadow to deepen up all of these creases. In addition to giving the face some dimension with all of the shading, I also wanted to give the skull's face some cracks because there is no skull that's going to have no fractures or anything at all. So using a very small detailed brush and again some water activated black body paints, I just start to make some cracks and divots in the skull. I'm now filling in that last space of the nose, and at this point I decided I wanted to throw a little bit more blue in it. Since there was blue on the chest, I wanted to take a blue eyeshadow that had a little bit of shimmer in it and kind of just pop it in some of those areas with the silver. I did think it gave a pretty cool look to it. I'm going to be wearing a bluish and a grayish wig later, so I just thought it would be fun to mix it up a little bit and add some blue. I'm giving the nose an ombre effect. I did some black, now I'm going back in with the silver, and then I'm just patting some of that blue eyeshadow on the nose. Going back to the eyes, I wanted to give it more of a base, so I went in with some white cream paint just to really blend it out and give it a good base for the eyeshadow they're going to put on. This eyeshadow is super beautiful. It's this grungy blue metallic shade, and all I'm doing is just patting that on the eyelid. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm not doing a lot to the eyes because that's not the big focal point, but I did want to at least give some pop of blue into the look. Now I'm going back in with another eyeshadow brush and deepening up those creases and deepening up those hollows of the cheeks even more. You can't do enough shading here. The more and more shading that you do, the better and better that the skeleton is going to look. So that is definitely the key to this look, is adding as much dimension as possible. Now we're moving on to highlighting. There's no way that you can do shading without highlighting. The highlighting is where you want to hit those spaces where the light would naturally hit. Of course, there isn't much light here because we're using a lot of dark colors, but go ahead and use that white and really try and emphasize where the highest points of the skull would be. So on the left there, you can see that's where the indentation of the skull is. Now underneath the cheekbone, some of the crevices, anywhere that there is a shade, there's got to be a highlight as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and let you watch and see where I place the white colors, because again, highlighting is so key. Once you've finished highlighting the face, we're going to move back to the chest for just a little bit. We're going to go ahead and start to draw out some of the pearls on the necklace. I really wanted this to be like a real chic-y-deaky, just a very cool old lady skeleton, and I wanted to have some beautiful, elegant pearls. So this, I kind of would say, is a cross between like a flapper skeleton and just an old, really cool chick, right? With her dress hanging off of her and her beads. So I'm drawing on the pearls, but then I'm also just putting this gemstone on just in the center. This is the only thing that is not painted on here. I want to just put a gem in the middle just so I could really have it pop out and really be dramatic. And I'm going to do a little dance, wait for it to dry, and then move back to the painting. With white body paints, you have to really make it opaque and continue to do layers until it looks as pigmented as you want. I felt like one layer just wasn't enough, so I go around, let them dry, do another layer, and just keep doing that process until they're as pigmented as you want. You can see how many layers I had to do to really create that look. So I continue this process. You can also see I took some of the paint off from the shirt just so I wasn't painting over the blue. And there we have it. There is the beautiful necklace. Just like we did with the shading on the face, you gotta do the same thing with the body as well. So I'm basically gonna just let you watch and see where I shaded all of the bones on the chest, the arms, the neck, using that same technique with an eyeshadow brush and also a small angled eyeliner brush. You just wanna continue to use that black eyeshadow to give all of the bones a little bit more dimension. When you're doing the shading, you really want to think about the bones themselves and how they hang. So you can see here I'm going underneath where the bone would actually be hanging over the other bone, therefore causing a shadow. That's why I continue to do those shades underneath each of those curved bones. So again, I'm just going to let you go ahead and watch of all the shading. Once you're done shading, you want to go ahead and add some more cracks to the bones, just like you did with the face. And you guys, this is pretty much the final look. I ended up adding a wig, which I think was so crucial. Throw in a wig, try a couple wigs. This is just a really cool chick to create. So let me know if you recreate it. Again, this is my NYX Face Awards entry for 2018. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already. And just kind of watch my journey through the NYX Face Awards. I love entering every year. And oh, I love how this girl turned out. I want to look like that every day. She's just such a bad lady. Love her. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.